Are you ready to unleash your full potential and become unstoppable in your success and leadership?
Welcome to the Unleashed and Unstoppable podcast, where we provide powerful insights and strategies for coaches, corporate leaders, and entrepreneurs. I'm Alexanne Carter.
And I'm Carol Register, and we're certified master neurocoaches who are passionate about helping you overcome your limiting beliefs and optimize your performance.
Each week, we'll be sharing actionable tips and strategies using neuroscience, from interviews with industry experts to solo episodes, to help you lead a life of power, purpose, and possibility on your own terms.
Join our community of like-minded individuals. Hit subscribe now, and let's be unleashed and unstoppable together. Hey there, Alex and I are talking about what happens when you are really hitting a wall. Maybe you're totally burned out, like we have both experienced. You know, my worst burnout was spending 5 days in bed. That's another story for another time. But when you're really sitting there and you're not seeing great circumstances around you, maybe your child is sick, maybe you don't have anything in your bank account, and you're just feeling this enormous pressure to make things happen in your world and to keep on toward those visions and dreams that now have receded to the background. And in fact, everything may be clouded for you right now. What do you do in that situation? I mean, you know, it can feel very hopeless. And I've actually been speaking to some people that I love who have felt hopeless. And there can be a lot of factors that go around this. We really want to give you some hope about what to do when nothing looks right in your circumstances, nothing looks right in your world. Right, Alex?
And I think why we're leaning into this topic is so we notice this, like some people that are dear to our hearts experiencing this. And there just seemed like I've been speaking to a lot of people, and there's been this like heaviness, and when I think about looking at the neuroscience, like what like this heaviness piece is, that my experience in talking is that people are feeling like they're underperforming. Because as high performers, right, as high achievers, feeling like you need to go, go, go. I mean, I just got back from an amazing retreat, and I got hit with, the family got hit with a stomach bug pretty bad. And I was like, I felt myself very defeated because I was ready to go. I got all this great inspiration and this added excitement for my children's book. And it was like, okay, I'm ready to go. And then, we're experiencing something else and being invited to actually slow down, which is counterintuitive to like feeling that drive and that excitement to actually this place of rest and recover. And this is what I'm just noticing in some of the conversations I've been having is noticing this internal like self-beat, the internal dialogue of like not performing. And yet, right, we want to talk into like, how do you navigate that? Because even though many of us feel this pressure that we should always be performing, right? We're still human beings. We're not human doings. And so, but breaking out of that mold, right? Breaking that shift in identity of being able to give ourselves permission to rest, to heal, and allow whatever the time it takes, the process that we go through to be able to get to that point. And yet, but it does, we feel that push and pull, right? We feel that cognitive dissonance. It does feel counterintuitive. And so I'm curious, Carol, because I know you've also been having conversations, like what have you been speaking into and how have you been supporting, those close to you through this process? Like, I know myself, what I did? I gave my friends a hug. I gave them a hug because I just like with the hug, you can release some dopamine. And like, to me, that's what was missing, because there was like such this down heavy energy. Like, how do we lift up through this? So I know that was what, in that moment, to me, I gave my friend a hug.
That is such a beautiful and simple thing to do, and so powerful, because you're right. We get into survival brain, survival mode, Nothing is clear. We're experiencing challenging circumstances, and we can feel very lost in those
Mhm.
moments. And that survival is a little bit of a clawing up, right? So, one of the things we are often missing is those healthy neurotransmitters that we need, dopamine, serotonin. And I mean healthy dopamine, not having the instant social media hit every 2 seconds. So a hug is a beautiful way to bring that in, and it really speaks to the power of having a safe community around you that you can turn to, because we can all influence, we are all always influencing one another when we're in community together. We are actually sharing energy. And when you're down, you have a community of people around you that can help remind you of how powerful you are and who you are. It can really lift you up.
Mhm.
As high achievers, we've talked about this so many times. It can be really easy to put all the weight on our shoulder. And then we've got shame and guilt. We've got a sense of failure, a sense of I can't carry it all. I'm not really capable. And none of that is true, but it's the spirals that we get in those situations. And it can be so helpful to have a beautiful, supportive community that comes in and says, hey, you're going to get through this. This is not the case. This is temporary. And really, what we're speaking into today, look beyond your circumstances. And this is the power of our neuroplasticity, of
Mhm.
quantum physics, and of the spiritual. And there's, to me, science really illustrates the spiritual. That when you have that spiritual grounding, that spiritual relationship, then you can really begin to lean back and trust. And actually, Alex, that brings up another really important point. Um, if you're not feeling like you can have any faith or belief beyond your circumstances, it is a gift. We can ask for it. We do
Mhm.
not have to manufacture belief. If you have a spiritual relationship with your source, with the divine, you can literally ask for the faith. It is a gift. And then you'll just, with the circumstances you're in, you'll get to start exercising it, baby steps, a little bit at a time, where you literally mentally focus beyond that circumstance. You start to turn things around. Have you ever experienced that, Alex?
Well, as yeah, I was gonna think like a lot of the podcast episodes we've recorded, like especially, leading up to my move here to Panama, we talked a lot about trust and
Mm.
surrender, right? And again, the circumstance and knowing if it's already done, like
Yeah.
the thing that we are, manifesting, creating, committed to, if it's already done, where we are right now, how we're feeling, it's all part of this process. And so really leaning into faith, of the process, into faith be able to release that pressure of the non-performing or not being
Yeah.
productive at this possible time. And and then again, it is that trust. If it's already done. And as much as you feel like you should be doing all the other things, or there, a lot of this mental internal dialogue and potentially a lot of self beat up of it's that performing of not
Yeah.
performing at the moment. You lean into the faith, you lean into it's already done. This
Yeah.
is really just part of the process. And I think massive lesson this year, because I know that this is probably the time that I've used this the most and really leaned into faith and just trusting the layout of things, is that like it really does like turn out, and it's so much easier when we can let go. And because I know myself have been also experiencing this a lot, I have noticed this. And when we're holding on so tight, it actually is counterintuitive and it makes it harder to heal.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
just in like these self beat up spaces
Yeah.
versus giving ourselves permission
Yeah.
to allow the process, allow whatever gets to take shape in this moment of time
Yeah.
to create that and to create the next thing that we get to create. And as you were speaking there, Carol, something that really came to me that I feel could also support the listener if again if this is something that you're undergoing yourself, you know, someone really close to you really like feeling this really heaviness right now is really looking at the step that we're in,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of times we're thinking about all these additional steps like what is the step that I'm in right now,
Yeah.
how am I feeling right now, what is it that I'm experiencing, and
Mm.
who do I get to be in this moment to heal, to
Yes.
give myself permission to focus on this thing, because our brain wants to go like 10,000 steps ahead. We want to be in a space, well, I should have done this, and this whole, again, self beat
And we
up.
get in the spiral. Yeah.
It's like my mission right now, right? My mission right now is to heal myself.
Right.
My mission right now is to help my child feel better, right? It's like, what is my mission in this very moment,
Hmm.
in this minute? Because it changes minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, but in this very moment. And I feel like when we can hone in on right now, it kind of creates this release because we're not trying to carry around this pressure of all of these things. It's like here and now. And who do I get to be, and what am I getting experience? And I think that's where faith to see beyond the circumstance allows that to happen,
Yeah.
because we're no longer trying to look at all the things. We're just here in the present, which I get it's not always right, easier said than done, but it's just like challenging you of like, okay, this is my quote unquote productivity, right? My performance in this moment is to heal. And I think when we can like just change the dialogue and the story, that
That
also,
becomes the mission. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and help counteract all the other subconscious things that are going on, all the other neural
Yeah.
networking that's going on.
I think, there are so many wonderful aspects that came to mind that you were touching on. And you've used the word several times, counterintuitive, and I want to highlight that because a lot of times what we've been trained to do or taught in culture or, by our childhoods is perform. And it can
Mm-hmm.
be counterintuitive to realize that your mission in the moment of not being able to see beyond your circumstances is really to lean in and allow the healing
Mm-hmm.
to be able to get out of that survival mode. And it's so interesting how counterintuitive, how opposite of the messages we hear that healing is. It really is. It's like, well, this doesn't line up with what my brain knows. And even if you will, 3D or 5D, let's say reality, right? And I'm thinking of, our three dimensions linked with height plus electromagnetic poles plus time. Like that's what I'm including in that 5D. But um, a lot of the science that we're discovering that really highlights the spiritual is this beautiful quantum realm that we live in and that we're not confined. It's not so much an if then, like the
Mm-hmm.
science we grew up
Yeah.
learning, where it's not a cause and effect science. The world of limitless possibilities is really being brought forward and highlighted, and it is counterintuitive. And that brings up the second point of remembering that we're feeling heaviness right now. Many people have mentioned that, but we actually do live in a friendly universe. We live in a universe that is bringing to us what is meant for us. And those desires and whispers in your heart that may die down or get clouded when you're surrounded by difficult circumstances this is where, Alex, you leaned in, that space to rest becomes the vision. I mean, becomes the mission. Being in that present, knowing you're safe in the present moment, knowing that you're breathing, else you wouldn't be able to even be experiencing the emotions of survival and be in the cloud. You're present, you're alive, you're feeling things. And so it's, knowing it's counterintuitive, knowing that we actually live in a friendly universe that's bringing to us what's meant for us, knowing that we are safe in the present and we can start to lean in, listen to those whispers of those visions and dreams in our hearts, and thank them, give
Mm.
gratitude for them, you know, just thank, be thankful that they're there. So, um, that clarity, trust that your mission of being in the present, of healing in this moment, of seeing your circumstances is all coming about. This temporary situation. Do not make any permanent decisions in a temporary situation. And this is where we start to lean into that trust and surrender. And then the vision comes back with roaring clarity. Maybe not all at once, but maybe it's just that tiny whisper, and we've got to be still and quiet to hear it, to lean into it. Counterintuitive, right? These are the beautiful things that can help us to know the, faith is described as the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Those are powerful words, substance and evidence,
Yeah.
right?
Especially neuroscience, right? Because our brain's constantly looking for evidence,
Yeah,
and we can either look for evidence that are going to validate, right, the things that are not serving us, or we
yeah,
can look into looking for the evidence that also support what we're creating vision. And that's it. We get to
yeah,
have faith to see beyond the circumstances, right? Like going back
right.
to the movie Panama, there are a lot of moving pieces, but it's just faith that it's already happened, right? And
Yeah,
leaning and rounding into it has already happened.
yeah.
And when you're talking, Carol, you know what? Something came to me, which I mean, we're always talking about this on the podcast, is what I was, when you were speaking, I actually felt very open and I felt very expansive, because when we can really sort of hone in and now we'll simplify, there is this open expansiveness. But the other thing that was coming to me was like, when we keep operating from this right, I guess a more unhealthy drive of feeling like that we need to be doing this with,
Performance. Yeah.
yeah, with scarcity, because
Yeah.
fear of like
Yeah.
all the goods. Whereas like if we're leaning into this expansive state space and we're
Mhm.
in a place of abundance,
Yeah.
then there's an ample amount of time and an abundant amount of time for us to have, for us to take the time that we get to have to
Yeah.
heal.
So
But
true.
sort of hit me there of like, again, that heaviness, because a lot of scarcity is a very it's very heavy energy. So
Yeah.
kind of really looking that of like, what is this gift in this moment? And I know it's easier said than done, like for us to lean into that, but just as
Yeah.
we're, unpacking this a little bit more, I'm in my own mind having these crazy shifts of like, wow, like what if we did lean into expansion and in that gratitude and in that love and in the abundance piece of like,
Yeah.
again, if it's already done, this
Hmm.
is the time, because of the space and the quiet, things get to like things open up. They just,
Yeah.
right, when you sit in
Yeah.
silence, you sit still, there is so much birth that takes place.
Yeah.
When we're in this constant loop, we're actually we're contracting that and not allowing that creativity, that birthing to take place, because we're so tight.
Closed in and tight, and what we resist persists, right?
Yes.
And I think, it's really important that we understand that it's really the stepping back and the stillness that brings us back to being centered or being grounded in who we are and our value. And going back to that allows the performance to then flow out of that place. I really love what you said about the words and the being in scarcity versus abundance. And I was actually just speaking with my client group about that last week. The word push
Mm,
is a popular word that we hear a lot. And it can have a positive connotation if you think of it in terms of choosing to continue to be consistent or persistent or determined, like, yes, I can, okay, I'm gonna maybe take this next step. And if push represents a positiveness to you, then that's great. But often push, most often, in fact, because of our negativity bias, indicates scarcity.
mhm,
Totally scarcity, exactly what you were talking about. It's not abundance. It's not, reflective of that. And in contrast, flow actually indicates a knowing.
mhm. Yeah,
So,
confident, right? Like
yeah.
like an
And
inner confidence.
and belief and faith. Like when you know that you know, even when you can't, the circumstances aren't currently reflecting that, when you're seeing beyond those circumstances. So you've got the scarcity of push, and yes, there's you know, flow is abundant, it's expansive, but it also is a knowing.
Yeah. Well, it's that the embodiment as well. We
Yeah,
look at the identity piece and just embodying it. And I think that, I mean, we often a lot at the beginning of the year, we're always talking about, what your intentions for the new year, looking at the identity that you get to embody. But here, as we're, wrapping up 2025 and, and, whether or not you're depending on how you're feeling, like it's just a beautiful invitation to really look at like what do you know?
yeah,
What are you confident in? Like what
yeah,
it what can you embody that you know is true?
yeah.
Because that also, when you can truly embody that truth piece, that
Mhm.
also supports greatly in the vision, in what
It
you're
is
creating.
done. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Especially like, as we're wrapping up 2025 and heading into 2026.
yeah.
So for those that, this episode is really landing for them because, circumstances have happened and just things are going on right now. Maybe it is health, maybe it's family members. What are some, me? I'm all about the committed action, right? Like, okay, and why? Okay, there we go. Let's talk about doing. But to embody instead of doing, but like really embodying what we're talking about today, Carol, what would you say would be maybe the number one thing that you'd love for the
Well,
listeners to get from this episode to
actually really love what you started with the hug, with and then, you know, don't try to do it alone.
Mhm.
Reach out to a friend. If you have a community that you feel safe in, reach out. If you don't have a community you feel safe in, I have a free book club called the Worthy Book Club. Come in, there's no cost, no obligation. Just show up. We love supporting one another. And that, I think those are super powerful. And then, um, your action step is to sit still.
Stop having awkward small talks that kills connection. The solution is knowing how to ask powerful questions. I have a free guide for you that walks you through how to ask wonderful questions that people want to answer, that people are going to be like, that's a great question. I have to think about this. And it's all in my powerful free guide for you. These are going to be questions that you can ask other people, but also questions that you can ask yourself to go deeper into your own self-awareness. Get the free guide.
Okay. So if we want to take practical action and get back to our grounding and our centeredness and listening to our intuition, our spirit, knowing that we are in a friendly universe, knowing that a lot of what we're told is counterintuitive, then this is where the flow, the abundance, the expansion comes in versus that push, gotta do, contraction, scarcity. So, yeah.
Wow. I love it. I love it because it is an invitation to be.
Yeah.
Invitation to be. Well, thank you for listening in to another episode of Unleash Your Soul podcast. We are so grateful to have a great gratitude, right? I know we just went through the American Thanksgiving, and we are so grateful for each and every single one of you for being here, showing up every Thursday, listening to our episode, grabbing our freebies in the show notes, right? Booking your website audits, joining into the Worthy Book Club, being a diamond in the diamond transformation. And we are just, we're so grateful. And we're always wanting to let you know that we're here for you. And these episodes are for you. So if there is a topic, if there's something on your heart that you want us to dive into, please reach out to us. In our show notes, you can click, it's like send us a message, and we are more than happy to record and dedicate an podcast episode, especially to you.
Yeah, we'd love that. Yeah.
All right.
Talk to you soon. Ciao.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unleashed Unstoppable podcast with your hosts, Alexandra Carter and Carol Register.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review, and subscribe.
That's all for this episode, Wildly Ambitious Leaders. See you next week.